Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it has finally happened, and you're going to hear the news for the first time right here on the PHNX Sun Devil Show, brought to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Don't forget to leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe, even leave a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. And the news that I'm referring is Herman, no middle name Edwards,
Jr.
is relinquishing his job as the Arizona State head football coach. He was the head football coach from 2018 to now. Shaun Aguano, the running backs coach, is reportedly the interim coach. He'll be taking over for the remainder of the season. Ray Anderson will be holding a press conference at 3:30. We're working to get people there now. We'll have updates for you guys on social media. Obviously, a lot hangs in the balance with that whole press conference and the future of Arizona State. But Shane, I'll start with you. It's done. The Herm train has officially made its last stop.
It's derailed. The Herm train has derailed.
I feel like the Herm train has been derailed for a while.
Yeah, it's been picked up and moved to a scrapyard. Well, look, this is fitting because the Aguano thing, because last year I remember talking about this in this position before you guys were here about who was going to replace Herm Edwards before it was revealed that he was coming back.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Aguano is what our consensus was on the show. It's good to have him. You know, he's been here for a while. The players definitely seem to resonate with him. And yeah, but in terms of the firing itself, like what we heard last night in the postgame show from Ngata, what we heard last night in the presser from Emory Jones about not being prepared and not having energy or a good week of practice, they deflected and blamed the players to some extent.
Yeah.
They never outright said this was completely our fault. It just felt like something was off. And that's why I referred to it as a Game 7 collapse like the Suns did. Because it felt like that. Something was weird that wasn't... Like, I think they just had enough of the shit. And this is where it got Herm. And it's over now. So I know there's a lot of cries on Twitter of happiness. Reasonably so. I think this team's going to be a lot more fun to watch. And I think the players are going to start to have a lot more fun and a newfound life. This is not going to be like the Scott Frost situation where the coach leaves, but the players that are bad are still there. The coach left, and the players are actually good here.
Yeah. I mean, this is what we've been waiting for, right? It's exactly what we talked about last night. Now we'll have the answer to that. I think the big question is like, how much of it was actually Herm, right? Like, because one of the things I said last night is like, maybe they weren't locked in because they've lost faith in Herm and his process, and so.
But was there a process?
Well, I mean, sure, I don't know, but they've lost faith in Herm and whatever they were trying to do. And now we'll know if it was Herm holding back the play calling and all of that kind of stuff. If it was Herm holding back these players, which I think, at least to a large extent, maybe not entirely, it was. But now we know. It sucks. I mean, like obviously, I guess I'm happy, right? Because I think this is good for the program. Not a situation I want to be in. Like, I don't think anyone should be happy that like, oh, now we don't have a football coach.
Yeah.
Like, but it's better than what it was yesterday. It just had to happen.
I do want to address a comment from Drew in the chat. What coach would want the job with the NCAA investigation looming and the future of the conference in doubt? There are some unappealing factors, 100%.
Yeah.
But I feel like the investigation is going to be a lot lighter of a punishment now that basically the whole staff that was involved is gone.
Yeah.
We've heard this, especially with the NIL stuff that came during the fact of the investigation. Like, it's going to be a lot less, I feel like. It's just my opinion. It might not be. But I also feel like that's not going to deter a coach to come here. And somebody else in the chat said, Urban follows dollars. All coaches follow dollars.
Yeah.
If Ray wants to make a good hire, he's got to pay up for it.
And we have no idea how much Herm leaving now is going to impact the sanctions as well, right? Because we talked about an article. Yeah, we talked about an article that had been written, I believe it was about both ASU and Tennessee, of how these two schools can almost avoid severe penalty. And a lot of it has to do with cleaning house for the people that were involved with the investigation. Herm was really, from our knowledge, the last piece of that puzzle. All of the other coaches had either been fired or left or whatever, and Herm was the big question mark of like, okay, well, how are you going to remove all the assistants, but your head coach is still here? Now that's gone. So obviously time will tell to see how that impacts the sanctions and what the NCAA is going to decide. But there's still football to be played. There's still a lot of big-time opponents that the Sun Devils have to take on, starting with Utah and Cameron Rising. Then you've got Caleb Williams in USC, and then you've got Washington. Like, this is not going to be like a quick turnaround that Shaun Aguano's got, and it's like, okay, well, we got Eastern Michigan. Oh, wait. Like, it's going to be tough.
There's no get-right game. That's for damn sure.
I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm any less confident. If anything, I'm more confident.
I'm 100%
more
confident.
The Utah game, because at the very least, and I know I kind of said that Nebraska might get this, and they did get embarrassed, but they are playing they did play a very good Oklahoma team. Like, you get that interim coach bump that you see in a lot of pro and college football. Plus, I think Aguano is a guy that we've heard a lot that the players really like and respect, and someone that they hopefully will want to play for, and we'll get them locked in. But yeah.
I don't know about a buyout yet. I mean, he is still owed, I believe, $4.8 million.
Yeah.
But
go ahead.
If the violations are found, I don't know if he's owed that. I think you might have to pay.
Yeah.
Which is insane. Don't know what the logistics are there, but right now he's owed 4.83, I believe.
Yeah. And I think, and again, more details will come out. I'm sure Ray will be asked that at the press conference. I doubt he'll give you a straight answer. However, because this was a mutual decision, which is the school is calling it a mutual agreement, I imagine that conversation has already been had.
Yeah.
Whether it be a buyout or, look, if I'm Ray and I'm in that conversation with Herm, right? And it's like, okay, like a mutual decision, whatever, you can make that for what you will. Obviously, we know the history between Ray and Herm. I feel like it would be an even worse look if after the whole thing, Herm is like, hey, man, you still owe me like $4 million. Like, if I'm Ray in that situation, I'm like, bro, go watch the tape from yesterday. Go look at all the headlines in Tempe for the last couple of years. We really don't want to. We don't want to pay you anything, and they don't really I feel like they don't owe him anything. Now, contractually, they probably do owe him something. Again, we'll see what Ray has to say.
What was with the wording, though? Do we know if they? You know what I'm saying?
Like, in terms of the decision?
Technically a fire, or did he?
No, it was per the university. It was a mutual agreement.
So do they owe him anything?
Contractually, probably
Contractually, no, because he relinquished his job.
In order, but like we were saying, I feel like there's probably some backdoor conversation.
Yeah, 100%.
Being like, we'll give you like the respect, I guess, of there's probably
Hey, Ron, you ever heard of Leon Marchand? Get out of here.
Okay. Have you ever heard of triathlon?
Okay,
bruh. 3-time defending world champion, national champions, 5-time defending national champions.
Yeah, the Goat Grant House.
Hey, if you're just tuning in, again, we're live here. Normally, we're not live on Sundays. But breaking news out of Tempe, Herm Edwards relinquishing his job as the Arizona State head football coach after a handful of seasons starting back in 2018. Guys, obviously this comes on the heels of ASU's 30-21 loss to Eastern Michigan yesterday. This is the fourth year in Herm Edwards' tenure where they have dropped a non-conference game at home.
One of those things is not like the other, though. Yesterday was a little more than dropping a non-conference game at home, but
so Shaun Aguano, obviously the interim coach, moving forward. What would you like that first conversation for Aguano to the players to be? Because obviously it's a weird transition, right? Because we're just wrapping up week 3, right? This team just got owned at home by a MAC team. Like, what does Aguano need to say in that locker room? Or is it almost like, do you think the guys are like, okay, Herm's gone? Like,
I think it's an exhale.
You think?
A collective exhale from the locker room. I just think that everybody kind of saw through it at this point. I think we knew what we were going to get.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I feel like at this, there's a little, like after losing yesterday, obviously they don't want that, but after losing and then Herm getting fired, like there's no pressure on this team anymore, really. Like the expectations are on the floor at this point, I think.
Mhm.
And now you don't have a head coach, like I've got an interim head coach, obviously, but like I don't think, like they're probably just like, all right, let's, what they've been doing all summer, let's block out the noise and lock in and just do what we have to do. I mean, Aguano's going to be trying hard because he probably wants to keep the job.
Yeah.
Right.
Or if anything, it's a tryout for all the other potential head coaching jobs that'll eventually come true. Mind you, Shaun Aguano is just a handful of years removed from being the head football coach at Chandler High School.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like within a handful of seasons, this man went from a top tier high school football coach to now an interim coach, Division I football.
Power 5 Division I
like
football. Yeah.
That's big. I do want to address Drew's question. What are the odds we see Ray Anderson fired before we hire the next football coach? I'm going to say 0.01.
Yeah, I feel like this is probably Herm Ray trying to keep his job.
Yeah. I don't think Ray, I think if Ray were going to get fired, we wouldn't have gotten an update that Ray would be holding a presser. We would have gotten an update that Michael Crow would be holding a presser.
I don't think we're going to get a head football coach until the offseason. Like,
yeah, you don't bring in, especially, and it probably depends on who they're looking at too.
Yeah,
obviously,
maybe once you get to fantasy draft,
maybe once you get to bowl season or something like that.
Yeah,
once you get to bowl season, they should just go hire Eastern Michigan's coach. Been there for what, 26 years or whatever it was.
No, he's been a head coach for 25 years.
Okay, yeah, but
maybe
still.
it was there.
Just be like, hey, don't get on that flight. Come back.
Yeah,
we'll take you. We'll take you.
Do you want to address the Meyer in the room?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Oh God,
Urban Meyer's not getting hired here. Let's be real.
I've seen it so much in the chat, and I know we've kind of stoked the flames a little bit because we had been joking about it for the last 3 months.
Is there a barstool emoji? Do you know?
Probably not.
No. Okay. Well, if there's a barstool emoji, if you think Urban Meyer is going to come here, drop the barstool emoji in the chat.
I don't think there is a barstool. Drop the chair emoji.
Yeah.
Oh man, no, like Urban Meyer, that's probably a pipe dream. Despite,
is it a dream?
I think recruiting wise,
yeah,
probably. And again, it's college
PHNX
football.
Sports dropped the chair.
Oh, no.
That was me.
Nice. I think it's a pipe dream in terms of recruiting wise, but there are a lot of options out there, right? Like I know Luke Fickell's name has been brought up, which I think that would also be
I'm already hearing
hire.
Scott Frost, and I want to throw up.
Don't say Scott Frost.
No, why would you do that? Like that's such a lateral move.
Yeah, no.
Look, Urban, as fun as it would be from a football perspective, because I feel like getting recruits and such, it is not what you want when you're trying to deflect noise onto a program. That man is a megaphone. It would not work.
Go hire Jedfish. Just empty the fucking bank.
That would be absolutely crazy.
I mean, honestly, like Joe said in the chat, like hiring App State Sean Clark, love it, great name. But I mean, I if it's not going to be Aguano, I'd like a splash move would be cool, I guess. Like if you got a guy like Urban Meyer or Brian Kelly decide to get up again.
He just lost again today.
You're not the only person that said that.
Cliff Kingsbury, when he gets fired after this team starts 0-7,
20-0,
brother.
Yeah, I live bet them to lose by 19.5 points. But
Jeff Fisher,
honestly, like I was thinking about this on the way here. If Cliff Kingsbury were to get fired in the middle of the season because his team just went completely downhill, be like, hey, you don't even got to sell your house.
Let's go get Marcus Freeman coaching.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
Dino Babers from Syracuse. That's actually a terrible idea. He's not really a good coach. But I don't know. There's hey, go Devils.
Hey,
Ed Ogeron.
Hey, hear me out though.
He was wearing a Miami polo the other day.
Yeah, but he's been wearing polos for all sorts of universities.
I know.
He's going to be at this Utah
If I'm Ray,
game
I make that call.
Polo. I mean, it's worth.
He's a national championship winning coach.
He's not a perfect person either. If you
is anybody
to Brian Flores is interesting, but again, that's another one where even though he's probably in the right, like I don't think that's the attention the university would want.
Can we grab a piece of Mike McDaniel's hair and clone him?
Yo, true.
My God, the Dolphins are good today. Craig in the chat bringing up a very sad point. This isn't just ASU related, but consider the state of football in Arizona. The greatest cause for celebration this week is a Power 5 team eking out a home win versus an elite FCS team. Let that sink in. I think the other way. The greatest cause for celebration this week is a Power 5 team firing their head coach.
Yeah. I mean, and you got to think about, you bring up the Hugh Jackson point, and for some reason, this just makes me just think of the assistants that are currently on ASU's roster. Like, how many of them have connections to Herm and Ray?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, this conversation that Ray had with Herm, it goes beyond just Herm relinquishing the role, right? Like, Marvin Lewis, who was a special advisor, got Brian Billick, a special advisor. Like, these are now guys who have had long relationships with Herm. Like, I would love to get their take of, like, did they want this?
Matt Entz. That'd be interesting. Yeah, I don't know. 69 people watching, by the way. Hit that like button. Nice. 69.
Nice.
Love it.
Let's go over. I mean, I know we're already kind of moving on to the future because I feel like there's a lot of people that have been ready to move on from Herm as the head coach in Tempe for a while now. But just taking a look back at some of the seasons that he had under Ray as the athletic director and as the Sun Devil head coach. Back in 2018, the team went 7-6. Obviously, it was a strange hire then after the whole Todd Graham debacle with Graham and ASU winning the Territorial Cup and then Graham getting canned the next day. So you've got that year. 2019, team goes 8-5. Obviously, the 2020 season was 2-2 with the whole COVID situation. 2021, 8-5.
All I think of in that season is USC's onside kick. Oh my God, I wanted to die.
But this team, and then obviously 1-2 right now. This is a team that, like, I just feel like was so average.
You want to hear something funny? There was an article that came out after the predictions of the Pac-12, or maybe it was after NAU. They went over NAU. It was early in the season or before the season even started this year. Greg Moore, the Arizona Republic. The opening line is, "You don't want smoke with Sparky. Not this year." Arizona State coach Herm Edwards looks like he's got everybody right where he wants them. Preseason predictions putting the team toward the bottom of the Pac-12. Yeah.
They are who we thought they were.
Well,
Herm is who we thought he was.
Yeah. If Herm wanted to get fired, he did have it right where
there's so much to be confused about, bro. Like, this, like, I just don't understand the logic from the administration's perspective. Like, if you're going to fire the guy week 3, this makes me believe that it was so much, like, that loss to Eastern Michigan was the purpose, was the real reason, right? Because if you're going to fire him for everything that he's done in the past, then he shouldn't have been the head coach to go into the season.
Yeah.
Like, that's just how much weight the administration put on that Eastern Michigan loss yesterday. Like, I think everybody saw it. And if you haven't seen the video of Herm post-game talking with Ray, talking with Michael Crow, like, there's clear disappointment.
Yeah. And they do that after every game, but that was not a good one.
No.
I see Jamie Chadwell being mentioned. You talk about an offensive coach, Coastal Carolina, play caller and head coach. That would be fun. Please stop saying Scott Frost. It's making me scared.
Let us know in the chat if you guys would prefer an offensive-minded head coach or a defensive-minded head coach. Shaun, I'll start with you. Out of those two, obviously the ASU offense has looked...
This is not a question.
The ASU offense has looked just lethargic.
Yeah.
You can't win in football with a defensive coach now. You just can't.
No, I am definitely on the offensive side. I'm very interested to see. Because, like right now in ASU situation, like, I'm hoping Aguano's just like, hey, Donnie, just go be Donnie. And just go crazy. Go be aggressive like you want to be. And then the offense can be fun. Like, yeah, I feel you got to have an offensive-minded coach, especially if you're hiring a coach like Herm, who is definitely the kind of guy who seems like he wants to have his hands on everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I want an offensive coach. If he's going to have his hands on everything,
people are saying Saban, Kirby Smart. This isn't the SEC. Those are some of the best coaches of all time.
Yeah.
You don't just pull those out of the ground.
Ray would have to be relinquishing other sports to be able to pay those guys.
They're not saying hired. They're saying those are defensive coaches that win. Yes, of course they are.
True.
But they're all-time great coaches. Defense does win championships, but that doesn't win you football games in the Pac-12 now.
No. I mean, I just don't know, man. Like, this is the beginning of a new era in Tempe, right? Obviously, Shaun Aguano is going to be coaching for that head coaching gig permanently. It's something that he wants, or like I mentioned to you guys earlier, it's a tryout,
I feel like Ransom in the chat just
or just
slapping the
defense.
floor, going defense.
Defense.
Let's go get Tom Herman.
I don't Herman.
Yeah.
No motherfuckers named Herman need to be working in Tempe ever. I don't care if it's just ASU, just all of Tempe. But no, it is a new era, right? Now, there is a lot of question marks, but Shane, you've kind of been the proponent of this since basketball season ended with football, of just like, it's the unknown. We have no idea, and that's kind of exciting.
Mm-hmm.
You are at the peak now of the unknown.
This is exciting.
Okay.
Look, like, losing last night wasn't fun for ASU fans.
Yeah.
But it was exciting.
I bet.
I wasn't excited per se, but it was better than, well, okay. It was more exciting than winning 40-3. I'll tell you.
Really?
Yes. 100%. Not during the game, after the fact. You kidding me? You know what we would have done? We would have done a post-game show, would have hung out, would have talked. Herm would have been the head coach. You know what happened? I'm excited. I respectfully drove the speed limit, flying on the interstate, getting down here. Super excited.
Do we have fucking cops watching the show? I didn't go the speed limit. I was flying.
I was
safely, but I was flying.
Juiced.
Yeah, you got here from the West Valley quick.
I did.
Got here before I got here. That's
and
crazy.
New Carvana car.
That's crazy.
Carvana car. You know the vibes. Shout out the Mitsubishi.
Okay.
Shout out David Carr.
Okay. Shout out David Carr.
Shout out Derek Carr.
With this roster now, obviously the season win total was hovering around, 6.5, 5.5 at the start of the season. They lose, obviously, to Eastern Michigan. They drop the Oklahoma State game. This is a 1-2 team. You still got a lot of talented players. Emory Jones, Xavier Valladay, Elijah Badger. You look at the defense, Kyle Soley, Jordan Clark, Merlin Robertson. Does your opinion on the win total change now that you have Aguano as the interim coach?
Well, it changed after last night because that was a free win.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think it changes anything. Like, I don't think it's better or worse. It's just,
it is what it is.
We will see. We don't know what this team's going to look like. See, what I want to know is if what the players are feeling or what we think the players are feeling. Like, are they actually breathing a sigh of relief? I can't wait to hear Ngata's thoughts on this. I can't wait to hear what that is like, changing coaches. This is one of the craziest experiences that guys like Emory have been a part of. Like,
I mean, he didn't think. He didn't really think of this as a possibility when he signed on. Like,
because you wouldn't sign on if that was a possibility.
Yeah, but I'm sure again he's glad that an offensive guy is in charge now. But yeah, I just want to see this team just kind of go in and be like, fuck it, we ball. Let's just run speed options and bomb it down the field.
Don't want to see another huddle. I just don't ever want to see this team huddle.
No, that's one thing that I don't think is going to change.
I like the huddle. I don't have a problem with it.
As long as you're commanding the game.
Yeah, you need to be flexible, right? Like, there was times like yesterday after Herm was like, we were trying to go fast. It might not have looked like it. What the fuck does that mean? We can see you. Like, we're trying to go fast when it doesn't look like it. It's like we're trying to go fast, but we're also taking our time and running 20 seconds off the clock for no reason. Yeah, what does that mean?
The craziest things I've ever heard.
Ross, to answer your question, no, the press conference will not be streamed.
I need them to go out and be like, listen, we're gonna play our game still, but also if we're down and there's 2 minutes left in the first half and we have a chance to put points on the board, you know what? Maybe we might abandon the huddle and run hurry up because we need to be successful. Like, I just hope that Aguano comes in here with the mindset of like, listen, this is my team now. We're going to do things a little differently. Not so differently that it's like we're starting from scratch, but like we're going to be adventurous and try and use our players' skill sets.
I love Jose in the chat just watching the Cardinals game. Greg Dortch. Oh, yeah. First down.
I'm gonna ask,
hell yeah, brother.
I'm going to ask you guys this and let me know in the chat what you guys think. But Berkovici, right? He's an offensive assistant with the Arizona Cardinals, correct?
Yeah.
How would you guys feel?
Not going to matter because Cliff Kingsbury is coming here when he gets fired in the middle of the season.
How would you guys feel realistically at the end of the season if they went that route with an ASU alum, bringing in a guy who's somewhat professional experience?
It would be cool to have an ASU alum, like to have a guy that bleeds maroon and gold, but otherwise I don't really know. I'm joking about it.
He had one really good Hail Mary. I mean, he's a good dude, and he's good at what he does, but when you have it's open season right now, you can go get who you want. I don't want a small. He has relations to the school. This guy played here. he has connections with our AD.
Yeah.
I don't want that.
Yeah.
Go get a big name.
Listen.
Go get somebody that's going to win you football games. Don't get somebody that you just straight out want because you trust him.
I was half joking about this, but the more I think about it, the more serious I am, and I'm going to say it a little louder because the Cardinals people are here. If Cliff Kingsbury were to get fired in the middle of the season, would that not be an amazing hire? Like,
No.
why not?
I think it would be an
As a
amazing
college
hire,
football
but
coach, that would be
In
electric.
the middle of the season or after?
No,
the
like I'm saying, if he were to get fired in the middle of the of the Cardinal season, at the
Okay.
end of the season, they hire Cliff,
Fantastic.
right?
yeah, but
not be elite.
There's no way that happens.
I listen. If this team starts 0-7, they might have to.
You think?
I mean, you can't. If this team fails horribly, the Cardinals team fails horribly with the expectations they have. I mean,
Okay. Now, this is, I don't want to call it a stupid question because I know exactly the answer, but take away the investigation. Okay? Let's pretend it didn't happen.
No.
Take it away.
No,
Take
nothing
it away.
matters.
Take it away.
You
Take
lose
it
to
away.
Eastern Michigan after the no.
No. Where, because it felt like this Herm, it was from the start to finish, it was doomed, right? Like there was, a couple wins here or there where you're like, okay, like this team, maybe Herm's got it together. You look at that Oregon win a few years ago, that was a great win. You look at the Michigan State win on the road a few years ago, great win. But it always felt like this thing was just destined to fail from the start. Like where did it actually go wrong outside of the glaring NCAA investigation?
You have to adapt with the times, man. You have to adapt when things don't work. This is the same type of offense we've seen the past 4 years.
Yeah.
Like nothing has changed. The man doesn't adapt, not only on the field, but also in terms of the college football landscape, whether that be Herm or Ray or Michael Crow, it doesn't matter. This team never adapted. It took them so long to even start thinking about NIL things. And then by the time it was too late, you lost players and somebody else took over and is now helping that. They just didn't adapt. Adaptability is the biggest thing in college football right now. It's an ever-changing landscape. Conferences are dying. You have to figure something out that will work. And Herm was just too stubborn to do so.
yeah, no, I'm right there. That's why I'm not like necessarily completely on like the big name train because I don't want. Unless you're getting fucking Nick Saban, who has proven that he is like can adapt with the times and relates to his players, like I would rather a 30-some-year-old coach that the players like.
But when I said don't go get what I was talking about big name, like Jose, Herm was a big name, but he was also a guy that was friends with our athletic director, ASU's athletic director. Yeah. That's not what I want. I want somebody that fits with the program. Yeah. Go get somebody that will change. You got Herm because they were friends and you thought it could be a fit, but there was no clear scheme, idea, or anything. It was just Herm Edwards because of Ray Anderson. It was Herm Edwards because he coached in the NFL.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't even a good NFL coach. No. That's what irritated me. Is like, oh my God, he's got NFL coaching experience. He wasn't good.
Sometimes the chat makes me laugh so hard. Like Wanakin in the chat, just being brutally honest, just saw the news.
Do you think we could get Plummer out of the mountains of Colorado with his mushrooms and come down here to coach ASU football?
I mean, we could probably look, I feel like Arizona State, I know the looming sanctions or whatever from the investigation are still TBD, and we don't really know what that's going to look like in terms of how it's going to impact recruiting or just the program in general. But like Arizona State, we talked about it last night, has talented players. Not only now, but for the future, right? Like we talked about Israel Carter being at the game last night. Like we've seen players in the past, like Jaden Daniels. We've seen Ricky Pearsall. There are a hell of a lot of players that have come through Arizona State that are talented, that have gone on to play in the National Football League. That's got to be worth something, right? Like ASU and Arizona in general has talented players that want to come play for ASU.
If Trey McBride scores a touchdown here, I get a lot of money. Jose still live.
Just live tweeting the Cardinals?
But yeah, I mean, it means something, like, but it ultimately winning means more. Like, it's cool that
I'm saying in terms of this being an attractive head coaching job.
Oh, yeah, but I think Herm is a large part of that. Like, it was clear that this team made an effort, an emphasis, part of running the pro-style offense, stuff like that, like, to make these guys attractive draft or just like NFL roster candidates, which is not conducive to winning. I don't really think getting guys to the draft makes this job any more attractive because I think the coaches wants to win.
I think it shows you that it was talent that wasn't used to its full potential here, though.
But yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, I like going into a NFL factory for players isn't like you want to continue that tradition, but it's not a selling point. I don't think.
Yeah. You don't think so?
No, because I think the current state of the team is there.
Yeah, and I mean that can change.
What have you done for me lately?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's cool, but I don't know if it does a whole lot.
So where does Herm go from here?
ESPN.
Obviously,
ESPN.
you think he goes back to ESPN?
ESPN, or I said this before the show.
With Ryan
Do
Clark?
you think anybody takes a chance?
Jordan Clark's dad?
A high school.
Which would be
Herm
awesome.
would be an amazing high school football
would
coach,
be.
which I like. I'm not saying is like a dig at him. Like I could totally see him being a super successful.
He is a good human being.
He is a good human being, and he's like I think a motivator of men, which can get you a long way in high school. I think, especially when you have like kind of raw talent and kids who might not have the priorities right. Like I think he could be successful in that realm.
And that's one thing I think is lost in here, and why I'm so hesitant to just be, so angry about this. Is Herm is a great guy.
Yeah,
he really is. He's a really good dude. The fit didn't work, but
Aaron's got it right. We got 4 seats here. It's one's off screen, but we could. Herm wants to join the show.
Yeah, but like that's just something that like I think gets lost sometimes, especially in sports. Like college athletes, we've had this conversation before. It's really lame to root against or root for college athletes to fail. But for those who did, congratulations, you got your wish, and Herm Edwards is now not the coach anymore. Hopefully, it doesn't impact this team too much, and I'm glad it happened during the year, so this team has a chance to succeed. But let's not make it out to be Herm Edwards is a bad person and to slander him for, well, not slander because he was a bad coach, but be nice. He's a good man.
Yeah, and I think despite everything that went on, I think he genuinely wanted. Obviously, he wanted to win, right? Like he didn't come here wanting this program to be shit. He didn't come here wanting to lose. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like what you said. It just was a bad fit. And I think from day one, people saw through it. I think people called BS the moment that the hire was made because, hey, we're going to bring a guy in, Herm Edwards, who hasn't coached football in a long time, hasn't played football in a long time. When he did so, he wasn't really great at either. And he's been sitting on the desk at ESPN for a while. Like, the model just never worked, man. It never worked. The pro-style model did not work in Tempe. The NFL factory that Ray has been preaching about for years now, not really a thing when you're getting guys going as early in just like the 3rd round, 4th round, and then undrafted.
They had more people get drafted than Texas, and Texas is supposed to be that program.
Yeah, you can't. NFL factory is like, I think of Ohio State, of Alabama, Georgia. That's a factory.
Well,
this is more like a small mom and pop shop.
Support local businesses.
Okay.
Like Cold Stone.
You can support local business, but
Cold Stone.
Yeah, didn't Dortch or somebody on the Cardinals say that there was a local business?
Oh, did they?
Mom and pop shop.
Cold Stone? I didn't know that.
It's not a mom and pop shop.
Okay.
It's a chain.
Doesn't the governor of Arizona, didn't he run it?
Ducey?
Yeah.
Went to Ducey's house when I was in high school for a party once.
Really?
He didn't throw a party, that his kids did.
Yes.
Yeah.
I figured. That'd be crazy. That'd be crazy
Like
if the governor...
PHNX Sun Devils just got the governor impeached.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Again, if you're just tuning in, Herm Edwards relinquishing his role as the Arizona State head football coach.
We get to hear what's good in 7 minutes.
Hold up. I'm not gonna allow this. Jordan Clark is a good football player. He is an active contributor.
How do you feel about those
the Chad Johnson. That's sad. But Jordan Clark is an active contributor to this.
There's also
football
nothing
team
that proves that Chad Johnson can't succeed here.
Yeah, he just hasn't get an opportunity.
I mean,
which I know that's not what the show is about, but that tweet that he sent last night saying, "Wish I could help," that hurt.
Well, maybe he can.
Maybe he can now.
Yeah.
Like maybe he can. Like that's my hope from all of this is that Aguano goes out there with the mindset that's like, we have nothing to lose. Let's just do it. Let's just go out there and play football and have fun and try.
Play to win
Give
the game.
people opportunities, and just not even play to win the game. Like, yeah, obviously you want to play to win the game, but like play football. Like, don't go out there with all this pressure. Like, oh, Herm's gone now. We got to just go out there and everyone's got to do their jobs and go on there with an open mindset and some creativity.
Yeah,
that's really what I want to see is creativity. And then, hey, you never know what happens.
Well, we're a few minutes away from Ray Anderson's press conference getting underway. We'll have people there giving us some updates, giving you guys updates on social media.
We can also, I think we could talk a little longer. Maybe we can.
Yeah, no, I definitely want to. I still want to. I'm curious, though, what would you like? Like, what do you need to hear from Ray today?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm sorry. I
You
made
want
a
an
mistake.
apology. You want an apology.
Maybe. I mean, I think that's what Sun Devil fans want.
I don't know.
I don't think an apology would make ASU fans happy.
Like, anything that I think that he could say that would make me feel good, I know is something that would never come out of his mouth at a press conference. Like, we're going to go in a different direction with our next hire, and we're going to start embracing NIL, and we're going to get a young offensive-minded coach who is going to make this an interesting program.
True in the chat.
Someone
What do I
that's,
need to hear
like,
from Ram leaving too?
Yeah, like, I don't know. Maybe that Michael Crow has been locking me in his basement for the last however many years, making me do whatever he wants, and he's finally let me free, so I'll have more control over this program, and we can actually do some things now.
Oof.
Yeah, some tweets coming in from former Sun Devils. Jalen Strong tweeting.
Well, he quote tweeted Simone.
Yeah, so Simone tweeted, "Now we rebuild," and Jalen Strong quote retweeted and said, "Ray got a slide too."
And Simone responded underneath it and said agreed. I did reach out to Simone today. Obviously, he couldn't hop on last minute, but he said he would be available early this week. So
I would love that.
That would be Eric Bieniemy would be,
dude. I can't
how he doesn't have a head coaching
I was just
job
about to say
is
the same thing.
unbelievable.
But he's gonna get paid in the NFL. I don't think it's realistic.
Yeah, I think this
Hey,
would be a downgrade.
What
for
is
him.
Sean Payton doing? You think he has any coach?
I heard that yesterday.
Isn't he on Fox?
I heard that yesterday. He
Well,
is, and
but
it looks like he has veneers.
Really?
Yeah,
It's crazy.
his teeth are white.
Hey.
I think he could have some fun in Tempe.
I mean, it would be interesting. I don't really know if he has any interest in going, but like he obviously needed a break from the NFL. Maybe college is a. Hey, you never. Bill O'Brien. I don't want anything to do with.
I'm cool with anybody that's in Alabama.
Yeah, I guess, but also I don't want anything to do with Bill O'Brien. What happened in Texas just ruined everything for me. It's kind of the same with Urban Meyer. Like if Urban Meyer had never had the Jacksonville experiment, I would have a much higher opinion on him than I do now.
Just as a football coach, not as a human being.
Yes.
Yeah. Urban Meyer, horrible human being, great football coach.
Unless
it's a professional football team.
Sean Payton probably will be in Dallas. Hey, let's go get Mike McCarthy then.
Oh, can we stop taking people's leftovers? I feel like that's what ASU does.
Okay. I mean, that's how coaching works, though. Everyone's a leftover.
Not necessarily.
Damn near everyone's a leftover.
Well, I do love a good offensive coordinator hire as a head coach, i.e. Mike McDaniel, the GOAT.
I mean, okay. We talked about this, but like, or we didn't really talk about this, I guess. Like,
can Tua retire and be the head coach?
Hey, why not? But like, Aguano just keeping the job.
That is a possibility.
Because, like, I mean, you talked about like whether or not this job would be attractive. Like, I'm sure it's attractive to him, regardless of what's going on with the program.
Such a great story too.
Yeah, like, and I mean, literally anyone that's talked about him only has high opinions of him.
Jose's just airing out his grievances here. Marco Wilson is terrible,
but
I love you, Jose.
Like, I feel like keeping Aguano around would be better than most people that you could go get.
Yeah,
I feel like it's just good for the program. It keeps a little bit of continuity in like the right ways, and like I said, everyone that's talked about him seems to love him. Like I hope, and we'll see this week, I guess, if he can be a little more explorative and make the offense more
You
fun.
guys know my answer on the Chip Kelly thing.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
I think with Aguano, and we've talked about this when Herm was still the head coach in the offseason, a little bit of who we would like to see at least promoted. I think the easy answer was going to be Antonio Pierce before the NCAA investigation resulted in that whole thing. Because I think that's what they wanted. I think that's what the program wanted. Yeah. Obviously, that's not the case now. But Aguano, like you mentioned, Shaun, is a well-respected dude.
Let's go get Billy. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They had their chance.
Unlucky. He's a well-respected coach. We've talked about the quote-unquote NFL factory a little bit ad nauseum today. But if you look at the guys that have gone on to play in the NFL that have worn the maroon and gold over the last handful of years, the only ones, or I won't say the only ones, but the majority that have been producing are the running backs, coached by Shaun Aguano. You look at Eno Benjamin, Rashad White, and you see what he's been able to do. Obviously, a lot is Xavier Valladay's talent, but Xavier Valladay is a hell of a running back. Daniel Ngata is a hell of a running back. Mm-hmm. Tevin White has the potential to be a hell of a running back here. Maybe it is him. Maybe he is the future here.
I mean, I guess we'll see.
It's a good point, Judgy.
I guess we'll see this week, the rest of this season, kind of what he's capable of with this roster. But I mean, I just think the biggest problem with Herm ultimately was, and none of the players will come out and say this, most likely, but like, it was not a guy that they really wanted to play for. Like that made them want to go out and put it all on the line for him, which I feel like can be important for a coach. I feel like Aguano might be able to get guys to do that. I also just people in the chat keep saying names. Dion Sanders is never coming to coach at ASU football. He's not leaving.
Plus, dude, like, do we really want noise like this?
I'm here for
Dion
it.
would be awesome.
Dion would be fun.
That would be
Is that
so
going to win
much
you
fun.
games?
It might. It might. If he can bring his son over here, because his son's a baller. But
pump the brakes now. Have you watched his tape, or you just see the numbers?
He's
not very good.
I know he's not good, but like, Dion Richard Sherman. I don't know, what are we doing?
just naming names. Why not, David? You want to be the head football coach at ASU? That'd be electric. Can you imagine David with a headset?
Chat. Well, I'm gonna put this to a vote. Actually,
oh God,
I'm gonna put it to a
What's
vote.
the vote?
Out of us three? Because Chris asked this in the Discord this morning.
I feel like, well, I'm interested, like, who would be the head coach, who would be the coordinators. I feel like Shane would be a DC. He would. Yeah, I could see Shane just going at it with like no pads, doing drills with defensive linemen.
Yeah,
just
just getting in line,
just barking at people.
Omar behind me.
I could see him going, like, demonstrating a drill, and it's like, you got to get down, put your fingers in the dirt, and just start barking at him. Woo!
So Omar Norman Lott,
You think Frank will
tweeted "Wow!" period. Obviously about everything that has gone on today. Checking social to see if there's been any updates from any current or former players outside of Jalen Strong and Jordan Simone.
The poll is in the chat now, by the way, guys.
What is the poll?
Who would be the best head coach out of us three?
Out of us three.
Yeah, best replacement.
Okay, that's mine.
Oh yeah,
Don't drink my water, bro. I want it. I don't know, man.
Press conference kicking off now.
Yeah.
Get some updates.
We'll bring you guys some updates here. It's not streamed. We do have people there that will be tweeting updates from social, so definitely check that out as well. I think while we're still on the topic of potential hires, I really do. I think Coach O would be electric.
Yeah. I do have a question for you guys in the chat. Do you think that after this fire, you see an uptick in fans?
Oof.
It's going to be tough to measure that because we're going from an Eastern Michigan game to a Utah game. But I don't know, like, necessarily in terms of attendance, but I think you'll see an uptick in just general vibes surrounding the program and how fans.
I bet we see a couple really good signs against Utah.
Yeah. The Herminator.
Let's see. We've got an opening statement.
David, you want to get that downloaded on the computer? It's just got sent in Slack. We've got some preliminary stuff.
A video, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So while we get that up,
Only Play's bringing you guys live video right now.
all right, I'm ending the poll, and it was tied, 33% each.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, someone did say first ever head coach trio. I'm in, like,
Three-headed monster.
yeah.
I'll get up in somebody's shit. Hey, don't do that. Toadru's like, that's fine. Sean's like, just keep doing that.
Dude, I would be an electric offensive
I would just run
coordinator,
out into the field and just.
So
start
Sean would be
doing
our head
shit.
coach?
I'm cool with you. You let me run the offense?
Yeah, I would definitely, because that's the best case scenario for me. If you fuck up,
That's what Herm thought.
Well, no, Herm seemed like he was just like had his hands on everything. I would just be like, listen, Coach is calling the plays, and you don't like it, go look at that guy.
Go look at that guy. All right, do we have the video?
I believe we do. This is the opening statement from
last night, and then we met again this morning, and we determined mutually that it was appropriate for Herm at this point to step away from his duties as the head coach of Sun Devil football. We had to acknowledge that there has been a pattern, unfortunately, of when some of the major opportunities were presented, we did not step up and perform at the level we all desire in terms of taking advantage of those opportunities. So we have named as our interim for the remainder of this year, Shaun Aguano. Shaun is very, in our opinion, deserving of this opportunity. His fellow coaches fully supportive of him, so we don't anticipate any additional staff changes. Communicated with President Crow on this plan, and he was fully supportive of me implementing this change at this time. And so we are looking forward to starting the Pac-12 season. That future begins now. Very frankly, our responsibility is to try to infuse new energy, new urgency into the program. Toughest day of my professional career, no question about it, to have to separate from Herm Edwards, but we've known each other a long time and we've always been very honest. We did not get it done here at the level that any of us aspire to. And when it's time for change, you make the change. And so we feel like for this current team, for our future, for our staff, for our university, this is the appropriate change at the appropriate time. And so we're going to look to get energetic, more urgency. Fresh leadership is frankly the first step in this process. I'll take any questions.
Should unmute. Just immediate reaction from the opening statement. New energy.
Yeah.
Like, that's what this team needs.
It needs just energy, period. Like, I just feel like that's something they've been lacking. And because I know a lot of people are split on Ray, and I have been split on Ray, but I'm kind of with AJ here. Like, you look at everything he has done as an AD, like, he's done a pretty good job, I would say. Like, all of his hires have been the right hires, have been good hires, have performed. Obviously, the Bobby situation is a little interesting because of all the things that program has had to go through. But, like, my hope here is that Ray looks at this and he's like, well, we went that route. That's definitely not going to work again. Like, I just hope it's not like, well, Herm wasn't the guy, but if we get another former NFL football coach that people know, that'll work. Yeah. Like, I hope he is able to learn from this experience. I like, basically all I really expected from that statement. Like, he said what I guess I wanted him to say, like, but he didn't really say anything. I don't know. It's cool, I guess. Thanks, Ray.
What do you think, Shane?
Yeah, my biggest thing is energetic, more urgency, more energetic. That's the biggest thing that came out of that. I mean, it's new life. I mean, I didn't really the love letter to Herm kind of at the start, saying it's the hardest thing about to do. It does just show how much he believed in him. And I'm not out on Ray by any means yet.
How do you guys feel about him saying that this is the toughest day of his coaching career, or his career, I guess, in general, having to part ways with Herm?
I mean, it makes sense, right? Like, this is the biggest job he's had, and football is the biggest sport, and firing your head coach in the middle of the season is always going to be tough. And obviously the personal relationship he has with Herm. So it makes sense. I can imagine that it's probably the toughest day that he's had to have. I mean, yesterday was probably also pretty hard. It makes sense. Like, it probably is. I mean, it's one of the toughest days this program has had in a while. Like, firing your head coach in the middle of the season after losing to a MAC team of guys, like, is going to be difficult. So yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, it's a weird time right now for ASU fans, for the athletic program to be undergoing a coaching change in the middle of the season right now. Obviously, Ray is going live. If you just missed it, he gave his opening statement calling this the toughest day of his professional career, having to part ways with, his friend and a guy he's worked with for a long time in Herm Edwards. Said the program needs and is looking for new energy. They are going to be undergoing a national search for their new head coach. It's still TBD in terms of how they're going to figure out the hiring firm, etc. Like, it is, I don't know. I'm at a point where it's just like, we're in the middle of the season. Like, now you have to add a coaching search to the plate. And it's it's tough, man. I don't know. What do you think in terms of using the the hiring firm to explore this option?
I mean, if you're one of the people that doesn't have faith in Ray, then it's probably good news to know that it's not just Ray's going to go through his contacts and be like, oh, this guy might be good at the job. I don't know. It's just kind of one of those things where you have to see it play out. I'm going to try and keep faith in Ray and everything that is going on. But it's one of those, it's just, with any of these situations, you kind of just have to wait and see and hope that the people that are responsible for making these decisions make the right one, which you'll only find out next year once they start playing football games.
Also, I love him mentioning that it was going to take somebody young with energy and understanding of the, quote, quickly changing college football landscape, something we had just talked about prior to that.
We've got another video from the press conference with what Ray had to say in terms of the interim coach. Why don't we play that video right now?
I met last night, and then we met again this morning, and we determined mutually that it was appropriate for Herm at this point to step away from his duties as the head coach of Sun Devil football.
So it looks like that was the first video. Still working to get you guys second video.
We can also wait until we get the audio more clear.
Yeah, 100%. In terms of like Crow, right? And the future with Ray deciding this next hire, likely deciding this next hire. Is this the final at bat for him?
Yeah.
Like, does he have to hit a home run here?
Yeah, you can't swing and miss on two football coaches at this level. I mean, it's tough because if you look at the rest of the program, the rest of the athletic department, and basketball makes the tournament and hockey makes the tournament, it's going to be tough to be like, he's not good at his job. But yeah, I mean, if you have if the second one turns into a complete like debacle like the Herm hire did, like I think he might be able to get away with hiring someone who just doesn't work out. But if you get another guy who just becomes a joke like Herm, then yeah, that's going to be, I don't see how he can survive that.
What do you think, Shane?
I'm so sorry. I'm dealing with something on the side right now. What was the question?
The question is this the final at bat for Ray? Does he have to hit a home run on this next coach?
Yeah, I think so. I think you just can't have a fire. You can't strike out completely.
Yeah. I mean, I think he can miss. And I hate it because I think Ray needs to be held accountable as well in this situation. However, given what he has done in terms of some of the other coaching hires at the university, right? Bobby, I still feel like the verdict is out. We'll see obviously what happens with this team. You look at what he was able to do with Trisha Ford, bringing her here. Now, obviously, she's gone at Texas A&M, but the softball program was a giant while she was here. You look at Bob Bowman, former Team USA swim coach, who is now here. Like, that's huge as well. You look at what golf has been able to do.
I mean, even Willie Bloomquist, like, obviously last season wasn't great, but it seems like the program's trending in the right direction, and it's a hire that made sense. Like, yeah, he's done his job well. And you also have to look at, like, the peripherals of not just the on-field performance, but, like, look at a fucking NHL hockey team is playing on ASU's campus.
Yeah.
Like, that is not, so that's something that obviously Ray is not solely responsible for, but doesn't happen if Ray doesn't put in the work to get that facility built. Like, Ray has done a lot of his job right. So yeah, that's why I think I think if he has another coach come in and it's like a debacle and there's more violations or they lose to another MAC team at home, then like it might be tough. But I like I said, I think if they just hire a coach and it's just like, oh, they've gone 6-6 for 4 straight years and it's just been mediocre, then they probably get fired and Ray probably gets to keep his job. It really just depends.
Do you think that impacts it at all in terms of the other head coaches that Ray has hired? Or is this just such a glaring problem that maybe all that other stuff won't matter if he does miss on this head coach?
I don't think he's on as hot of a seat as we think. So I'm not sure if it's going to.
Yeah, and I mean, it also depends what happens over like those next 4 or 5 years, whatever. What happens with the other programs, right? Like if basketball keeps shitting the bed and they don't make a tournament the next 4 years, and softball goes nowhere, and Willie's a bust, and I mean, at a certain point, hockey is going to have expectations, right? Like they're starting to get to that point where they need to start making tournaments consistently. If that doesn't happen, then if all of that stuff and the football coach is a swing and a miss, then yeah, he probably gets fired. But I think when you look at everything, if everything else just kind of stays the course, and then the football coach is just a meh, then yeah, I don't think he's on that much of a hot seat.
What do you think that conversation? Obviously, we're not 100% sure of what was said between Ray and Michael Crow and Herm last night. What do you think at that point? Do you think they knew that it was time, or was there deeper conversations following the game that maybe they could get an idea of like, look, this isn't going to work?
You were talking about like that on-field conversation they had after?
Yeah.
Or? I feel like there was probably a point during the game where they were losing, or once they knew that they was losing, and Michael and Crow and Ray were kind of just like, they probably just kind of knew. It's obviously hard to know what they were thinking, but I feel like, yeah, I feel like there's kind of, when you lose to Eastern Michigan, like I feel like they just kind of were like, yeah, this probably has run its course. And then they obviously had to have the conversation with Herm and everything, but yeah, I mean, I don't think there's conversations they had last night. They were just like, after that game, they were completely on the Herm train, and then all of a sudden they had a conversation. They were like, maybe this won't work out. Like, I feel like they probably kind of knew where they were at once they lost to a goddamn MAC team.
Yeah. What do you think?
I'm reading his contract right now, actually.
Herm's contract.
Yeah.
Okay.
To see if there was. It's a long.
If you lose to Eastern Michigan, you're fired.
Just what
lose to a
non-5. There's just a lot in here, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we have the next clip, don't we? Oh, not yet.
Okay. I know we're getting close to it. We should have it here shortly for what Ray had to say in terms of the interim coach. Again, if you're joining us now, Herm Edwards relinquishing his job as the head coach at Arizona State. Running backs coach Shaun Aguano will be the interim head coach. Ray Anderson, the athletic director and university vice president, is holding a press conference right now. They're going on 15 minutes so far as to the future of ASU football in Tempe. He's already talked about how the program needs energy, potentially looking at a younger coach, maybe one that resonates a little bit more with the players. What, John?
No, there was someone that's something that I think someone said in the comments about how when Herm was hired, the expectation was that they were a top 15 school. When a new coach gets hired here, whether it's they stay with Aguano or they hire someone outside, what do you think that expectation is for the program at that point?
I think that's what it has to be.
It's still,
I would say top 15. Top 15 is a lofty goal.
Yeah.
Right? For a team that is rarely in that conversation, this team should be competitive in the Pac-12 every year. This team should be in the conversation with Utah, USC for at least this year, Oregon State now, in Oregon. Like, you need to be in that same conversation every year. And if you're not, then you need to do something different.
I agree. I feel like you have to, like, it's not, maybe not so much even like the number, but like, I feel like your goal when you're in the Pac-12 has to at the very least be a Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
And I feel like unless you're in a situation like Arizona's goal this year is not a Rose Bowl, right? But their goal with Jedd Fisch ultimately is probably to win a Rose Bowl. And like, if you're in Colorado situation, that's not going to be your immediate goal.
Yeah.
But I think if you're a Pac-12 team, especially one in ASU situation where they've been the last couple of years, whatever, you have to think your goal has to at least be to reach a Rose Bowl, or at least be in that conversation, reach the Pac-12 championship.
Yeah, 100%. I believe we have the next video, and this is what Ray had to say in terms of finding the next head coach at ASU.
Those are going to be things to be determined, because we just did that today. I will certainly be involved. Don't know what the format, the structure will undertake. Right now, we're focused on right now, and so that search will be a national search. I anticipate it would be exhaustive because I know there's going to be great interest in the position. And very frankly, Shaun Aguano will have a chance to be considered depending on how the rest of the season goes. But we will be looking to have a fit with someone, very frankly, who is probably going to be a little more in tune with the evolving change and landscape in college athletics. I can tell you, it's changing, as you know, rapidly. And you got to have someone who is willing to take all that additional change on, because it's going to continue to change. So you got to have that energy, that spirit, and very frankly, you might have to have the youth to deal with this new breed, if you will.
Oh my God!
Turn me up. Inject that into my fucking veins, Ray.
I think he said everything that everybody wanted to hear. With
that I think, isn't that what I said when you were like, "What do you want to hear?" And I'm like, nothing that I think you would expect to hear.
That's exactly what you want to hear.
Oh
Younger
my God.
coach, fits the times, can evolve. I love how he was like, "It's evolving." If you didn't know, I think everybody knew, Ray. I think everybody knew that it was evolving and changing, and we needed to adapt. You're the one that brought the guy here that was incapable of doing that.
But again, to Ray's credit, it seems like he realizes his mistake.
Yeah.
Like he was just like, because like again, I think when Herm was hired, like I don't think it was like what the fuck is going on? Why is he doing? Like it was like a splash hire, sure, and you may be able to have seen problems with it when it happened, but like I don't think everyone was unanimous. Like this is a terrible fucking mistake. Like, but now is the fact that he said youth makes me excited, like get a young coach. And it's not necessarily just a coach who is with the times now, but a coach who will be able to adapt. Again, why Nick Saban has been so successful. When he started, it was very different than what it is now, but he has been so good because he has been able to change with the times and just accept what it is. And you look at someone like Dabo Swinney and Clemson. Clemson is not what they were 5 years ago because the landscape has changed and Dabo has refused to, and they have slowly started to slide. He said all the right things there. I just hope he follows through with it.
And now it's time to expect what you should expect from the second highest paid athletic director in the nation behind Chris Conte.
Yes.
Now it's time to turn it up to the next level. Joe puts it in the chat, and I think it's true. This, very frankly, is a great day for Arizona State. That is true. If everything follows through, you will look back on this day and say, "This is the day Ray Anderson realized what was wrong." And that he made a mistake, and he owned up to the mistake, and he fixed the problem. And if they fix this problem, we look back today, this is a great fucking day.
Yeah.
And it should be.
Well, you look at what, again, obviously football is a different beast in and of itself, but the hires that Ray has made consistently across the athletic department have been good hires, right? Like, Bobby took this team, the basketball team, to multiple tournaments, something that ASU hasn't been able to do for quite some time.
Herm Edwards, I like that.
You look at Charlie Turner-Thorne, who obviously was here before Ray got here, but the most historic coach that any sport outside of football has ever seen for Arizona State. Like, we mentioned swim, we mentioned triathlon, we mentioned golf. Like, these are hires and these are teams that are competing and winning national championships.
Mm-hmm.
Triathlon doing it year in and year out. Again, football is a different beast, but like, I feel like you don't make the same mistake twice here. Ray understands that. I think ASU fans are not going to let him forget it.
Yeah.
So, like, this is his time. Go hit a home run. Go find the next best coach to be the guy at Arizona State.
Yeah.
Zeke Jones, Craig brings up.
Yeah. I just hope that Michael Crow is also on the same page as Ray, and I don't think they would be on that drastic of pages if Ray is saying all this stuff. Like, I feel like they've had to have this conversation, but I just hope that Michael Crow now understands that, like, hey, we can achieve all of your academic goals or whatever it is while still putting a winning product on the field and adapting to what the rest of the athletic landscape is now. That is my bit, because again, like I've been saying, I think Crow is the biggest problem with all this.
I think they're completely on the same page after what we've seen. I mean, like, there's no way they hadn't had an extensive conversation before the firing and before the press conference. They're ready to make a change here at ASU, and this next one is going to be obviously very pivotal, but it can change this program. It really can. You hear that with a lot of coaching hires, but this just feels a little bit different just because of how low this was.
Yeah.
It feels like it can be changed drastically because you realize how low you can get and that you are a Power 5 school, the second and first going back and forth biggest school in the nation population-wise, and you're putting out mediocre product after mediocre product on the biggest revenue sport in college sports.
Yeah.
This has to be a wake-up call, and I think they realize that.
Shaun, any final thoughts on today? There's obviously a lot to break down.
I mean, it's good, but like ultimately time will tell, right? Like there's plenty of programs and stuff like that have these days. They're like, we've fired our coach, things will change now, and then they don't, right? So I'm excited now that Herm has been fired or has relinquished his role, whatever you want to call it, and we can move into a new chapter of ASU football and hopefully put this behind us. But time will tell. That's all I can really say is time will tell.
There was nothing that was going to help this program or change what was happening on the field aside from this action, and that's all you can say right now, and that's all you can hope for is that things will change. It's hard to let your guard down if you're an ASU fan, clearly, but I mean, all you can do is really hope with this team, and it's NCAA investigation, everything that's over its head, 100%. You still got to worry about that, as Cheerson says in the chat, but I mean, this is a big step.
Yeah, 100%. The time has changed in Tempe. Again, Herm Edwards in the Herm train has made the final stop. Didn't realize it would end with a loss at home to Eastern Michigan, but here we are. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Obviously, this was a big show. If you enjoyed it, we're going to be going live multiple times throughout the week because there's going to be a lot of news out of Tempe surrounding ASU football, not only with the coaching search, but they do have to play a top 15 team in Utah this week. So that is going to be on the podcast as well. Give us a follow at PHNX_Sun Devils. You can follow me at Anthony_Totri. You can follow Shane at Shane D.
Can I just give a couple shout outs real fast?
You can.
Shout out David Rodish.
Shout out David Rodish.
Leaving watching football on a Sunday to come help produce our show. Shout out to you guys for getting here fast.
Shout out Mallory.
Yeah, shout out Mallory, of course, I was going to say, for being at the press conference. Huge getting videos for that. And then shout out all of you guys. Some new faces, some returning faces. We do this 3 days a week usually, but this week we'll probably be live 5 days. So here on the PHNX Sports YouTube channel, guys. And you can follow Shaun DePause at Shaun_DePause. Ready to move past the Herm Edwards saga as always. Enjoy the rest of your guys' Sunday, and we'll see you tomorrow live at 3. But for now, peace.